Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Gaurav Sharma, and with me is Aditi Zumba, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. Russian President Vladimir Putin to visit India on the 6th of December. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Russian counterpart to hold the 21st India-Russia Annual Summit. New Delhi says India is in talks with Pakistan over supply of humanitarian assistance to Afghanistan. 2 cases of Omicron variant of COVID virus reported in India, contact tracing underway to check the spread. Women's Tennis Association suspends tournaments in China in light of tennis player Peng Shuai's allegations against Chinese officials. In hockey, India to face Germany and Argentina to play France in the semi-finals on Friday in Bhubaneswar. And in cricket, the second and final test between India and New Zealand to begin on Friday at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. As India marches towards administering 150 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, news about fresh corona variants is causing concern. In this situation, we appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. Please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact the national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now, the news in detail. India's External Affairs Ministry has said that the visit of Russian President Vladimir Putin will take place on the 6th of December of this month. President Putin will be here for the 21st India-Russia Annual Summit, and a series of meetings will take place between India and Russia. In a media briefing on Thursday, official spokesman of the Ministry of External Affairs, Arindam Bagchi, said Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and his Russian counterpart will co-chair the Intergovernmental Commission. He said the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, will also have a bilateral meeting with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. He further said these meetings will be followed by the first inaugural meeting of the newly instituted 2+2 dialogue mechanism at the level of the foreign and the defence ministers. Mr. Bagchi said the 21st India-Russia Annual Summit will be held in the afternoon on the 6th of December, and India is looking forward to welcoming President Putin to New Delhi for this summit. He said the leaders will review the state and prospect of bilateral relations and discuss ways to further strengthen the strategic partnership between the 2 countries. He said a joint statement is proposed to be issued at the end of the summit. Elsewhere, Russian President Vladimir Putin has said India is one of the authoritative centers of the multipolar world with a foreign policy philosophy and priorities that are closely aligned with Russia's own. Mr. Putin was speaking at a ceremony in the Kremlin on Wednesday when Indian Ambassador to Russia, Pavan Kapoor, presented credentials to the President. Speaking at the ceremony, President Putin said next week he is visiting India, and during talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, they will outline new large-scale initiatives for further development of the especially privileged Russian-Indian relationship, the Russian-Indian Strategic Partnership. The Russian president added that he is convinced that relying on strong traditions of friendship and mutual understanding, they will continue working together to expand the full range of the Russian-Indian ties. Building up to the Russian president's visit to India and the summit with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, All India Radio brings you a special series, India-Russia Connect, highlighting the salient aspects of the India-Russia relations. Today, we will discuss the 2+2 dialogue.
Cooperated on a range of issues over the years through various bilateral and multilateral mechanisms. The most recent example of this enduring partnership is the institution of the 2+2 dialogue. Referring to the 2+2 dialogue, spokesman of the Ministry of External Affairs, Arindam Bagchi, a media briefing on Thursday said, India foresees a very intensive engagement in the upcoming days.
These meetings will be followed by the inaugural meeting of the newly instituted 2+2 dialogue mechanism at the level of the foreign and defense ministers. Both ministers are expected to discuss bilateral, regional and international political and defense issues within this format.
The 2+2 ministerial dialogue has been instituted to discuss political and defense issues of mutual interests. This will be the first such dialogue under the 2+2 dialogue mechanism at the level of foreign and defense ministers. Abhishek Mukhopadhyay for World News AIR.
Meanwhile, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met his U.S. counterpart Antony Blinken on Thursday in Stockholm. The two ministers were meeting on the sidelines of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe at the OSCE ministerial meeting. In a statement, the U.S. State Department said that Secretary Blinken addressed what it described as Russia's aggression towards Ukraine, including its military movements near Ukraine's borders. The statement reiterated that the United States' call for Russia to pull back its forces and return to a peacetime posture and to adhere to the Minsk agreement and a ceasefire in the Donbass. According to reports, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov told the media that Moscow was ready for a dialogue with Kiev. Ukraine's capital, Kiev, said on Thursday that a Ukrainian soldier was killed in clashes with pro-Russia activists in the east of the country.
India's Health and Family Welfare Ministry said that the 2 cases of Omicron variant of COVID have been reported in the country in the last 24 hours. In a media briefing in New Delhi on Thursday, Joint Secretary in the Union Health Ministry, Love Agarwal, has said both the cases are from Karnataka.
हमारे देश में 2 ओमिक्रॉन वेरिएंट के केस हमारे इस नेटवर्क के द्वारा डिटेक्ट किए गए हैं कर्नाटक में और उसमें से एक केस 66 साल के एक मेल हैं, दूसरा केस 46 साल के एक मेल हैं और जितने उनके प्राइमरी कॉन्टैक्ट हैं, जितने सेकेंडरी कॉन्टैक्ट हैं, उन सबको ट्रेस कर लिया गया है और उन सबकी टेस्टिंग करके उनको एज पर प्रोटोकॉल हम कोऑर्डिनेट कर रहे हैं.
Director General of Indian Council of Medical Research, Balram Bhargav said 2 cases of Omicron detected in Karnataka through genome sequencing effort of INSACOG consortium of 37 laboratories. He said there is no need to panic, but awareness is absolutely essential. On the Omicron variant of COVID-19, member health of Niti Aayog, Dr. V.K. Paul said it is being carefully examined and will take decisions on the basis of it. He stressed on the need of testing, surveillance, tracking and tracing of incoming international travellers. He said hospital infrastructure must be strengthened. Talking about the booster dose, he said scientific reasoning for providing boosters at what timing for which vaccine, all that is under examination.
वैक्सीन लगना हमारी बहुत बड़ी प्रोटेक्शन है सब वेरिएंट्स के लिए. तो उस तरफ जो हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं उसमें और भी गति आए. हर व्यक्ति जिसको नहीं फर्स्ट डोज मिली वो फर्स्ट ले और जिसकी सेकंड डोज ड्यू है वो सेकंड डोज ले. इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट जो ओमिक्रॉन के परिप्रेक्ष्य में आया है वो हमें इस तरफ लेके जाता है कि जिन टूल्स का इस्तेमाल करते हुए हमने इस पेंडेमिक की लड़ाई करी है उन टूल्स को फिर हम पूरी तरह से इस्तेमाल करें, उसमें कोई भी कमी ना हो.
Meanwhile, the UK government has signed contracts to buy a total of 114 million additional Pfizer, BioNTech and Moderna doses for 2022 and 23. This is with an aim to shore up the defences in light of the news of the new variant Omicron. In a statement, the UK government said that the future supply deals include access to modified vaccines if they are needed to combat Omicron and future variants of concern to prepare for all eventualities. Japan has softened its suspension of all new incoming flight bookings to make it easier for citizens to return. The Japanese government made an announcement on Thursday, a day after it announced the move prompted by worries about the Omicron coronavirus variant. New Delhi has emphasized that India is discussing the modalities of supply for getting humanitarian aid into Afghanistan through the land route. Speaking at the press briefing on Thursday, spokesperson of India's External Affairs Ministry said that the humanitarian assistance for Afghan people should not be subject to conditionalities.
We had received a response from Pakistan. I think it was November 24th that we received a response. We had given our proposal, I think early October 7th, for humanitarian assistance access into Afghanistan. We had been looking to supply 50,000 metric tons of wheat and life-saving drugs to Afghanistan, Afghan people. Since then, we have had discussions with Pakistan on the modalities of this supply. These discussions are ongoing. Let me reiterate our belief that humanitarian assistance should not be subject to conditionalities.
Meanwhile, the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs on Tuesday said that temperatures have already dipped below zero in Afghanistan and people are in need of winter clothing, emergency shelter, heating and fuel, as well as rental support. Speaking at a press conference, Stephanie Jarek, spokesman for Secretary General Antonio Guterres, said that recently the UN distributed winterization assistance to 32,200 people in Kunar, Nangarhar and Nuristan provinces, and partners are also responding.
Previous years' trends indicate that by November, cases of hypothermia, acute respiratory infections, and deaths directly and indirectly associated with the cold are likely to increase. Recently, we distributed winterization assistance to 32,200 people in Kunar, Nangarhar, and Nuristan provinces, and partners are also responding.
The Women's Tennis Association, WTA, on Wednesday announced its decision to suspend all tournaments in China and Hong Kong. The chairman and CEO of the WTA, Steve Simon, in a statement said that the decision was taken in response to the Chinese tennis player Peng Shuai's allegation of sexual assault over a Chinese official. Peng Shuai had posted an allegation of sexual assault against a top Chinese government official, which has since been removed from the intern. The statement alleged that the discussion of this serious issue has been censored in China. The decision comes just 2 months before the Winter Olympics, which is being hosted by China. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
The 1st of December marks the beginning of the month of victory, celebrating Bangladesh's liberation from Pakistan on the 16th of December 1971. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a special program on the Golden Jubilee anniversary of Bangladesh.
India played a key role in the formation of Bangladesh Air Force during the 1971 Liberation War. Captain Qazi Abdul Sattar, known as Alamgir Sattar, is a Bangladesh Liberation War fighter. He took part in many operations as a pilot. In an interview with Prasar Bharati special correspondent Rajesh Jha in Dhaka, he tells the story of the way Bangladesh Air Force was set up with Indian support and how they took part in the Liberation War operations in 1971. He started as a civilian pilot with Pakistan International Airlines. Later, Captain Sattar crossed over to Agartala to train with the Indian Armed Forces against Pakistan. He was involved in the legendary Kilo Flight operations against the Pakistani forces.
This is called Kilo Flight. The first name of Kilo Flight's achievement. Even today, if you read the history, the Janakantra, it is there about Kilo Flight. Kilo Flight really did wonderful jobs. Few days we stayed in a hotel in Calcutta. After that, we went to stay in Barakpur base, Indian Air Force base. We were issued a card. That time it was Captain Khalid, me, Shahab, Captain Khalid, because he was much older than us. He was Squadron Leader Arun Kumar Chaudhary, Flight Lieutenant S.N. Vishwas, Captain Shahabuddin became Flight Lieutenant Mondal. In the month of September, I think 11th September, again we went to Dimapur. Then our training started. That was given by Maharaja of Jodhpur. And we took severe training. Very low flying in the Jantia Hill Valley, a hill area. We used to fly very low and it was risky. It was all night flight. Bangladesh Air Force was organized on 28th October. A.K. Khandekar, he gave his speech, and then Air Chief Marshal P.C. Lal was present, Air Marshal Dewan, Group Captain Chandran Singh, they were also there. And after some time, they went back. We carried about 7-8 flights, 2 of them with ammunition, a small ammunition, the Mukti Bahini people, and about 5 flights or 6 flights with
The issue of language was central to the nationalist fervor among the Bangladeshi people. Erstwhile West Pakistan's imposition of a language foreign to the people of erstwhile East Pakistan stirred up aspirations for the liberation from the clutches of Pakistan among the people. Padma Shri recipient retired Lieutenant Colonel Sajjad Ali Zahir is a veteran liberation war fighter who crossed over to India to join the Indian Armed Forces to fight the Pakistani army during the 1971 Liberation War. He was given a death sentence by the Pakistan army for treason, which he still carries with him. He talks about the early days of Bangladesh's liberation struggle.
In 1947, when Pakistan got its independence, 56.5% people used to speak in Bangla and 3.9% people used to speak in Urdu. Mr. Jinnah made Urdu the state language and the protest started. And this protest was brutally suppressed by Pakistani forces on 21 February 1952. And we celebrate that day as the Martyrs' Day, Language Martyrs' Day. Based on the language, our nationalism, our patriotism grew, and which resulted in the liberation of Bangladesh. We love Bangla, we love the language. The Bangla is a symbol of our sovereignty, our devotion, our sacrifice, and our future. And this Bangla language is one of the sweetest languages in the world, and it has the contribution of great poets like Rabindranath Tagore and Qazi Nazrul Islam. The Bangla language was the main spirit of our liberation war. We sang songs and marched towards the enemy in Bangla. We raised the flag of Bangladesh in every liberated area and sang the song of Tagore, which has become our national anthem. So Bangladesh and Bangla language are synonymous. This is our beloved language and we love it all. Thank you.
Veteran Bangla journalist Partha Chatterjee lauded the role played by the Indian Armed Forces in the liberation of Bangladesh. He said that the Indian soldiers won over the hearts and minds of the Bangla people, as we witnessed in the days following the joint victory. They have won over our country. The Indian Jawans conducted themselves in a very peaceful manner. Moreover, we went to Dhaka Bazaar and saw Indian Jawans buying watches. Such a scene is not witnessed in any other country of the world. Even after winning over a country, the Jawans are buying things from that country with their own money. Such scenes were also witnessed. The 6th of December is celebrated as Maitri Divas, or Friendship Day, to commemorate India's recognition of Bangladesh on the date in December 1971. India was one of the first countries to establish bilateral diplomatic ties with Bangladesh. During the visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Bangladesh in March 2021 to attend the National Day of Bangladesh, it was decided to commemorate the occasion 10 days before the liberation of Bangladesh. Speaking on the significance of Maitri Divas, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said that it is a reflection of the deep and abiding friendship between the people of India and Bangladesh that has been forged in blood and shared sacrifices.
In New Delhi, the Indian Council of World Affairs will be organizing a special event on December 6th, which will see participation from both countries. I wanted to emphasize that the holding of the Maitri Divas is a reflection of the deep and abiding friendship between the people of India and the people of Bangladesh that has been forged in blood and shared sacrifices.
Speaking on India's contribution to realizing the independence of Bangladesh, Colonel Zahir speaks about the ultimate sacrifice that the Indian Armed Forces made in helping the cause of the Mukti Bahini. He makes a clarion call for celebrating 50 years of Bangladesh's liberation to honor the joint sacrifice.
1971 was a trying time for our two nations. The Pakistan military occupation forces used the weapons of sadness against the common innocent people of Bangladesh. They launched Operation Searchlight, killing millions of people. At that critical juncture, the people of India, the leaders of India, and the armed forces of India helped us immensely. At that time, Mukti Bahini, Indian forces, marched together against the barbarous occupation army and won victory on 16th of December 1971. The blood of the Indian soldiers who were martyred in 71 in thousands, and much more who became casualties and wounded. Their blood is flowing, will flow, keep flowing through Padda, Meghna, Jamuna and Tista, and make our soil and a fertile ground for friendship between the two countries. The relationship between India and Bangladesh is based on blood, sacrifice and history. The new generation of Bangladeshis and Indians should also celebrate the 50 years of celebration of victory in the spirit of 1971. Bangladesh is grateful to the people, the leadership and the armed forces of India for their tremendous sacrifice. Let not this sacrifice go in vain. Based on the sacrifice, we'll build better friendship between the two countries. The sacrifice will rekindle the spirit of 1971 and bring back better friendship during the period of our 50 years of victory celebration.
Abhishek Mukhopadhyay for World News AIR.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a high-level meeting to review the preparedness of states and concerned agencies to effectively deal with the situation arising out of the likely formation of Cyclone Javad. The Prime Minister directed officials to take every possible measure to ensure that people are safely evacuated and to ensure maintenance of all essential services. He also directed to take steps to restore essential services immediately in the event of any disruption. He further directed to ensure adequate storage of essential medicines and supplies. The meeting was attended by the Principal Secretary to Prime Minister, Cabinet Secretary, Home Secretary, Director General of National Disaster Response Force and Director General of India Meteorological Department. IMD informed that a low-pressure region in the Bay of Bengal is expected to intensify into Cyclone Javad and is expected to reach the coast of North Andhra Pradesh and Odisha in the early morning of coming Saturday. It is likely to cause heavy rainfall in the coastal districts of Andhra Pradesh, Odisha and West Bengal. IMD has been issuing regular bulletins with the latest forecast to all the concerned states. The Cabinet Secretary has reviewed the situation and preparedness with Chief Secretaries of all the coastal states and concerned agencies. The Ministry of Home Affairs is reviewing the situation through the day and is in touch with the state governments, union territories and other agencies. The Ministry has already released the first installment of the State Disaster Response Force in advance to all the concerned states.
The UK has called for an early intervention to address the growing humanitarian crisis caused by climate change. The UK is hosting the Global Humanitarian Overview 2022 with the United Nations on Thursday. In a statement, the UK government said that up to 216 million people may be forced to abandon their homes by 2050 due to the effects of climate change. The Global Humanitarian Overview is the world's most comprehensive, authoritative and evidence-based assessment of humanitarian need. Produced by the UNOCHA, it provides a global overview of the current and future trends in humanitarian action and explores opportunities to more effectively deliver humanitarian assistance. In a major push to the Go Electric campaign in Delhi and in sync with the centre's vision on electric mobility, All India Radio has shifted its entire fleet to electric vehicles for all its transportation needs. The Chief Executive Officer of Prasar Bharati, Shashi Shekhar Vempati, and Director General All India Radio, N. Venudhar Reddy, flagged off a fleet of 23 electric vehicles at Akashvani Bhavan in New Delhi on Thursday. Later, speaking to the media, the Chief Executive Officer of Prasar Bharati, Shashi Shekhar Vempati, said it is an important decision to convert to electric vehicles.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण मिशन है स्वच्छ भारत के तौर पे हवा को भी स्वच्छ रखना बहुत जरूरी है एंड इस तरह से एनवायरमेंटल फ्रेंडली जो ग्रीन व्हीकल्स इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स है इनको हमने अडॉप्ट किया एंड अभी मुझे पता चला कि ये दिल्ली में सबसे दूसरे नंबर पे लार्जेस्ट फ्लीट है इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स का.
Director General All India Radio N. Venudhar Reddy hoped that electric vehicles will be brought in for other stations of All India Radio based on the experience of these e-vehicles at Akashvani Bhavan. He said AIR has entered into an agreement with Convergence Energy Services Limited, CESL, for the e-vehicles.
We are entered into an agreement with EESL. They will provide the vehicles and they will maintain them and we will pay them the rent. So for next 5 years, after 5 years, अगर हम चाहें तो वो vehicle हम रख सकते हैं with some nominal payment. But we will see that after 5 years.
Moving on to sports, in the AFIH Odisha Hockey Men's Junior World Cup being played in Odisha capital Bhubaneswar, India, Germany, Argentina and France have qualified for the semi-finals to be played on Friday. Defending champion India will take on Germany in one of the semi-finals in the iconic Kalinga Stadium in Bhubaneswar. The other final will be played between Argentina and France. In cricket, the second and the final test match between India and New Zealand will be played at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai beginning on Friday. After a pulsating draw in Kanpur, both sides would look to win this match to claim the series. However, that will be subject to the Mumbai weather conditions. And now a report from the business world.
Amongst global markets, Asian markets ended mixed today. So Japan's Nikkei 225 index fell 0.7%, China's Shanghai Composite Index shed 0.1%, and Singapore's Straits Times Index shed 0.2%. But South Korea's Kospi Index climbed 1.6% on a rally in tech stocks, and Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index rose 0.6%. In Europe, London's FTSE 100 had fallen 0.6%, France's CAC 40 had dropped 0.7%, and Germany's DAX had declined 0.8% in intraday trade. Global crude oil prices rose sharply today, with the investors adjusting positions ahead of an OPEC Plus decision on supply policy, though gains were capped by fears that the Omicron coronavirus variant could hit fuel demand. So Brent crude oil futures climbed $1.56 to trade at $70.43 a barrel. U.S. crude futures advanced $1.52 to $67.09 a barrel. Back home, gold declined to 80 rupees to 46,657 rupees per 10 grams at Delhi's bullion market. This is Lalema Aneja Dang for World News, All India Radio.
Every year, the 2nd of December is observed as the International Day for the Abolition of Slavery. The day commemorates the brutal history of slavery practiced by colonial rulers of past centuries and aims to eradicate modern forms of slavery such as trafficking in persons, sexual exploitation, child labor, forced marriage, and the forced recruitment of children for use in armed conflict. The day marks the date of the adoption of the United Nations Convention for the Suppression of the Traffic in Persons and of the Exploitation of the Prostitution of Others. The Resolution 317 of December 2nd, 1949 by the General Assembly aims to abolish modern forms of slavery which has its root in history.
And now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. TASS reports Putin to discuss initiatives in development of Russian-Indian relations with Modi. The Washington Post says U.S. government nears possible shutdown as Republicans take aim at vaccination and testing mandates. The Globe and Mail reports surge of snowmelt from record heat temperatures adds to British Columbia floodwaters. The Guardian writes farmers in England to be paid for looking after soil health from next year. The Sydney Morning Herald reports delay to North Sydney pool sparks concern about another budget blowout. Ceylon Today says U.S. donates nearly 2 lakh additional Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines to Sri Lanka. The Himalayan Times writes Nepal Electricity Authority investing rupees 25 billion to upgrade power system in Karnali, Sudur Paschim provinces. Financial Times reports Brazil enters recession as inflation grips economy. Todo News says Islamic Emirate Iranian forces clash in border areas. And South China Morning Post reports South Korean security advisor visits China as Seoul pushes for formal end to Korean War. Now a quick look at the headlines once again. Russian President Vladimir Putin to visit India on the 6th of December. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Russian counterpart to hold 21st India-Russia Annual Summit. New Delhi says India is in talks with Pakistan over supply of humanitarian assistance to Afghanistan. 2 cases of Omicron variant of COVID virus reported in India, contact tracing underway to check the spread. Women's Tennis Association suspends tournaments in China in light of tennis player Peng Shuai's allegations against Chinese officials. In hockey, India to face Germany and Argentina to play France in semi-finals on Friday in Bhubaneswar. And in cricket, the second and final test match between India and New Zealand to begin on Friday at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. India is celebrating the 152nd birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Russia. And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.